obviously we're all stuck inside, quarantines around the world. I assume that is good for game playing, and I know EA shares have been up, but give us an idea, how much activity are you seeing? What trends are you seeing? What games are people playing, and what does this mean? Do you believe this means for your business?
Well, listen, I think it's an extraordinarily challenging time for everybody around the world, no matter what country or what territory you're in. And what we're seeing is that people are missing some of the things that are most valuable to them, those personal connections they have, sport, the participation in the viewing of sport, and the interaction with other forms of entertainment. And what we've seen most broadly across the industry is that people have really turned to games and looking at games as a means to, connect with their friends, to run virtual birthday parties in games like The Sims, to fill their need for the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat with esports like FIFA and Madden and Apex Legends. And so, we feel very humbled that we've been able to help out at such a challenging time and fill some of the gaps in people's lives.
So are you seeing a spike in games? Are you seeing a spike in sports gaming in particular because live sports aren't being played right now?
I think we're seeing different types of engagement. You may have seen that we did a FIFA Stay and Play Cup, and we've done a Madden esports tournament. And so we're just seeing engagement in different profiles. Certainly people are playing games, and certainly people are connecting with their friends with games. We've also seen really strong viewership of our FIFA Stay and Play Cup, which had 18 or 20 different clubs from across Europe. And our Madden tournament had a bunch of celebrities and athletes playing. And so all we've really done is look at those things that people are missing and come together as an organization and as an industry, quite frankly, to see how we can fill those gaps. And we're seeing all kinds of different levels of engagement. And again, it's humbling to be able to offer that at this time.
Now, for video streamers like Netflix, there's a concern about content drying up because they can't shoot new content. It is slightly different for video games, and I know you were pretty aggressive in sending studios home around the world, but are there going to be pipeline issues down the line, given how many of your sports are tied to, how many of your games are tied to live sports like NHL, FIFA, NBA, etc.?
Yeah, so far, we went almost fully work from home, essentially fully work from home mid-March. We started a rolling work from home program from January. As you know, that we have facilities in China and Korea that were kind of early impact zones of COVID-19. By mid-March, we had 9,500 employees working from home. And I would say because we really started to ramp early, our IT and our tech teams and our security teams had done a lot of work in the background. And within 2 or 3 days, we were almost fully operational as an organization. Now we have about 6,500 employees building games and creating content and delivering entertainment to fans across the globe. And I would tell you, I've been unbelievably inspired by what our teams have been able to do and how they've been able to support our playing community at this time. And to the extent that there have been missing elements in the real world of sport, our teams have come together in partnership with our league partners, whether it's the NFL or FIFA or La Liga or the Premier League or the NHL or soon the UFC, to deliver new and interesting interactive content to fill those voids. So we feel very good about our ability to support our player base.
The NCAA just took a big step towards letting players use their name, image, likeness, and to be paid for those, but not on video games. You did, of course, used to have NCAA football. That was very popular. Are you disappointed that the rule change didn't include video games? Would you like to bring that game back?
I tell you, I get emails every day and every week and every month from fans of our college football games who beg us to bring them back, and offer me all kinds of hugs and goodness if I can bring NCAA football back for them. I would tell you, I think this is a great step. I believe it's a first step. We continue to work with the leaders of schools and of athletes, of NCAA and others in and around the field. Again, our role in this is to deliver great interactive entertainment to the extent that we're allowed to. And our hope is that over time we can do that again, but we're just not sure when that will be.
Interesting. Okay. So I know people are playing more games, but we're also going into a massive economic downturn. People are losing their jobs. Do you think that that's going to hurt your bottom line and that people aren't going to be willing to pay to play essentially?
Well, listen, I think that as an industry and as a company, we have great concern for, all of our communities and any macroeconomic challenges they may face over time. And we will look to help them in any way that we possibly can through that process. What I would say, though, is what we have seen in the past is that our form of entertainment is tremendous value. The cost of a video game is not high in comparison to many things in our lives. When you take free-to-play games like Apex Legends or our mobile games, or even our $4.99 a month subscription as part of EA Access that gets you access to our full catalog of games, our hope is that even as we move through this and we try and work to ensure our communities prosper and don't, face the challenges that, some people are predicting, that we're able to provide them tremendous value entertainment and fulfill that need they have as human beings.
Now, the biggest games right now seem to be Fortnite and Call of Duty. What's your sort of answer to that in sort of, a comparable battlefield?
I might challenge the biggest games seem to be Fortnite and Call of Duty. I would agree with you that they're certainly big. I would also highlight FIFA, which is, one of the greatest entertainment properties on the planet in the context of our interactive games. Madden, who's just had its best year in the franchise history, and Apex Legends, who has 80 million players live to date. Not to mention The Sims, which right now is being a tremendous game for communities where people are coming together and having virtual weddings and virtual birthday parties, and we're able to entertain a whole different demographic of players. So we feel very good about the breadth and depth of our portfolio and how we've been able to use that portfolio through this time to entertain players and fill some of the gaps that have been formed as a result of the coronavirus.
Epic Games just teamed up with the rapper Travis Scott for an in-game concert on Fortnite. Will we be seeing you doing in-game events?
We've been doing a lot of great stuff for our communities. Again, our Stay Home, Play Together campaign has had over a dozen activations across celebrities and athletes and TV folks who have come in and played with fans and participated in tournaments as part of fans. And we've got another 100 or so of those activations in place, and we'll continue to work on those to entertain fans at this challenging time.
Now, talk to us then about your resources to bring new content to market. With all of the studios around the world at home right now, what does that mean for the pipeline and, when we will start seeing some new content?
I mean, you're seeing new content almost weekly right now as we continue to provide content, both paid and free, for the community through this challenging time. And as I said, we've been essentially work from home since mid-March. And one of the things that comes from the investment we've made over the last, 5 or 6 years around our digital platform, single engine, single IT structure, is that we've been able to rally an organization and bring them together to continue to deliver amazing content for our fans. I think it's too early to tell whether there's any meaningful long-term impact to our pipeline. But right now, we feel very good about how operational we are as a company and how we've been able to support fans with new content and new entertainment through this period.
So speaking of what the fans are talking about, Lamar Jackson, last season's MVP and quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens, has been picked to be the next cover of the Madden game. If the seasons continue to be pushed off, how does that impact things? Does that impact the way you pick your next covers?
Again, I think it's too early to tell. We're working with all of our league partners, and we know that what they're trying to do is bring sport back to the fan bases, but only do that in a way that is safe for their athletes and safe for everyone around the sport and safe for fans. And so we'll continue to work with them and ensure that what we're doing as part of that is helpful and additive to the overall fan experience.
How do you think the new console timeline will be impacted by COVID-19?
I don't think we've heard anything yet as to any material changes from any of our first-party partners. And so we're projecting that we will continue to deliver great content for those new consoles this year.
Now, Google seems to be doubling down on Stadia, and I'm curious how your views have evolved on whether the console is eventually evolved out of gaming or is here to stay.
I think you've heard us talk about the cloud a lot. We think, cloud has a tremendous ability to to be additive to our industry, either by providing access points for players who don't have a console, providing new experiences on top of those that people play on a console. And, we're excited to partner with Google and learn how we might deliver new games to new players and new games to existing players, and augment some of the things that we're already doing in the industry. Net, in our industry over 40 years, every time a new platform is launched, it has been very good for the types of games we can make. It's been very good in our ability to drive new, interesting, creative, and innovative experiences for a growing fan base.
Now, just as a parent, we've got school shut down, a lot of parents turning to video games to help just get through this. And as a parent myself, it's a great resource, but I often feel guilty. And I'm curious what advice you have to parents right now to moderate that time and make sure that it is productive.
Yeah, I think this is something that we have a responsibility for as an industry, and we're doing a lot right now as a company around healthy play and balanced play. A lot of those things are really about highlighting and making parents aware of the various tools available to them, both to navigate the content their kids are playing and also monitor and manage how much their kids are playing. And both, all the major consoles and our PC offerings have these parental tools. And what we're doing right now is working hard to kind of surface those at a much higher level so that they're easy to access for parents. So as part of balancing their children's lives, they're able to include games and include games in a healthy way.
Now, given that you have studios around the world, in Asia, for example, are there any lessons from the beginning parts of recovery that you see applying here in the United States?
I think that, what we're going to do personally is really take a cautious approach. We went to work from home status on a global basis, in some cases ahead of local jurisdictions. Because first and foremost, we were concerned with the health and well-being of our employees and our families. And what you'll see from us, even as jurisdictions start to bring people back, that we will do that very, very slowly and very cautiously. And then we're making very real changes in our buildings around how you enter and exit a building, around how you interact with people in a building, the space between desks in a building. Again, in corporate America, there has been a move to kind of this collaborative, approach to, space planning. We have a lot of people in small spaces and they move in groups. And, a lot of that has to change now. And so we're doing a lot of work. We have an incident management team led by our Chief People Officer, Marla Singh, and Ken Moss, our CTO, who are working to rethink space planning for all of our buildings to ensure as people come back in, which will be slowly, that they're able to do so in the safest way.
Google said June 1st. Slack said September 1st, not before September 1st, that they would start bringing people back to the office. I mean, do you have a time frame?
It's hard to pick a time frame. I think that right now, most jurisdictions are suggesting June 1st is appropriate to start thinking about bringing people back into offices. I would say that, we're working diligently on a day-by-day, week-by-week basis. And even if we were to start bringing people back into offices on June 1st, it would be very slow in bringing them back. And our sense is it will take some months, even once we start to bring people in, before we would be fully operational on any one of our campuses.